Welcome back to another episode of Paint and Spill. I'm your host, Elvy. Today on Paint and Spill, I have somebody extraordinary, somebody multi-talented.
Wow.
Multifaceted. Like them used to them words there because me use the words all the time, but it's true.
Yeah.
And like I said, anybody that comes to this table is somebody to watch. So today I'm with Mrs. K. Boswell-Lewis. She is the operator of the YouTube page Strategic Education Services, where she focuses on helping teachers to better themselves.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
giving you motivation,
right,
how to stay focused and how to transcend the educational landscape to get our students to become successful.
Right. So before we start talking to Mrs. Lewis, I want to tell you thank you for supporting right through, and thank you for coming back for season 3. I know that you were in love with season 2. Me know. Me see comments then. Me know.
Okay, great. That's good.
So, but what better way to kick off season 3 with somebody who is special to me? And you might be wondering, why is Mrs. Lewis special to me? Well, Mrs. Lewis was my lecturer at Northern Caribbean University, instructional technology.
Yes.
Instructional technology, and we did do a lot of things in the class there, and we did actually participate.
Yeah.
And I wanted in class there were a school.
Yes, true. My class was usually so packed, like every space.
People want
even
to be taught by
students who
you.
did the course already and moved on, they came back because it was done differently, and so
People wanted to be taught by you and Stacey Richards.
Yeah, and back that time, last night I was saying to my sister, then I was using all these apps and
long
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
Let us talk about that before you move on, right? So all of them know that I'm obsessed with Mr. Clark, but what I have never told you, she's the person that introduced us to Mr. Clark. We had to watch the Ron Clark story, but what I didn't tell you, if you had not done it the way you did, we wouldn't watch it. You remember how you did it?
Yes. So I uploaded it to the system.
LMS.
And there were pauses in between
where we had to answer the
questions. Specific questions. It's not like you could run to go read a review
like you didn't
and
know.
answer or whatever.
Like
so
you didn't
you
know.
have to answer all the. I think there were 10 or 12 questions that you had to answer.
And you had to watch it because so we Arsha and I were roommates and we were in that class together. So me say Arsha, me just read a review. Right? Arsha say, no, Elvy, questions in it. So you embedded the questions
inside.
And that was like what, 7-8 years ago?
Yeah.
So you were ahead of the online learning.
Yeah. And I remember when I said to you guys that you had to do a video and you had to upload it to a YouTube or Facebook, and I had a man.
We did that?
Yes.
Me don't remember that, but
yes,
definitely remember
it.
it.
Underneath a tree that you were talking about plants, living and non
Miss, what have you done? I want to see it.
I think it was stored in LMS.
No, Sam, you have to go look back.
Yeah, so you had to do, you did
because we had to do it in our area.
Right, and how you would use technology to teach your class.
Right.
And so you were doing videos from that time and putting it up and getting people to watch. Right. And you had to make resources for your specific subject.
We had to use resources.
Recyclable.
Yes, I made a water cycle, but Arsha did make something interesting. Arsha's brother went to Edna Manley. So he had the skill. So he was the one that, and you could have seen the vein. You did amazing. I never forget.
Like, seriously, all the veins and so
everything.
It was the structure of the penis.
Right. She had everything.
Trust me, it was everything there. And like saying back then, we had them. You had you guys doing these things.
I have a question about, because it was so long ago and then now we are highly dependent on it. I have a question. I work at paint, but how is it? How important is it to you to be a visionary? To be a visionary, like be preparing for the unforeseen future.
I'm going to share something with you. My father always said to me, you must be a step ahead of your game at all times. So I grew up poor, you see. So I used to walk barefoot to go to school, and I just oiled upon my foot and everything. When I went to Manning School, the Manning School, I went there with one shoe. So that shoe, I wear go jeans there. I wore it to anything that was happening at school. I had on that shoe and I wore it to church. And I had children who laughed at me at that time. But my father always said to me, one day will come. And my mother always said that you're gonna have all of those things, and we're gonna look back and say, didn't that really I fuss myself over?
Right.
And so he always said to me, plan ahead of time. So like when I went to Manning's in 5th form, I was the only child in the 5th form batch that had applied to university. So I was the only child who applied for university at that time. When I went to NCU, I did my bachelor's, and after I did it, and I was having struggle because I did it in home ec. I loved home ec and all of that, and I had struggle getting a permanent job. And I said, no, I need a master's, because if I have a master's, I will not only be able to teach in the high school system, but I will be teaching outside.
Right.
And so just before I finish up my master's to do the thesis, that's when I got a call to start lecturing at NCU. And when I started doing that, and then I left NCU to the high school system, when I got there and I realized, how easy it was for me to just integrate and do stuff. Because remember, I was lecturing up here, and then to come down to the high school, it was like, very easy. And so when I became senior teacher, the first thing I thought about was to go do my principal training. So
okay, because you are also a teacher. We only mentioned the YouTube, the strategic, but Mrs. Boswell-Lewis is also a teacher at Roger Clark High School, where you're currently serving as a senior teacher. But you said it was easy for you, but it's easy for you because of the mindset that you had.
Well, that is it, the growth mindset and the shifting mindset. So when I was at NCU, because I've been in the high school system, and I was now teaching the way how I wished my teachers taught me, when I came and I started to lecture student teachers, I am now teaching them to go out there and make the impact. And so I just sat down with my good friend Karla Bernard, and I said, Karla, I'm going to be teaching international technology. How can we transform? Because she has the mindset like I do. How can we transform what we used to get in international technology? Because I remember we never used to get to make charts and these videos, and I'm like, we're in the age of, we have to change how we approach the teaching. And so I was looking ahead of time to say, listen, when this batch of students go out to teach, they're going to be changing the landscape. And so I went in and I did.
Changing the landscape.
Yeah, and I'm proud of you. I must say, I'm proud of Elvy, because she has been doing just that. From I met her, she has always been this bubbly person. Always excited about learning, trying new things, very creative and artistic. When you give her, alright, so if I give her work to write, a problem. But let me tell her, say, do a presentation, or do a role play, or do something that doesn't require a script or writing. She was good at that. And so I saw that in her, and I knew that the system needs teachers like her, because you're gonna find students in your class who you could have give them from now till tomorrow work to write. You'll never get them. But if you say, go make one rock song, go do one dancer beat for this topic and whatever. So when I saw you coming out as this singing teacher, I was so proud. I said, I taught that girl, and I knew.
No, not only that,
she had
the course that you taught me, the course, instructional technology that you, because I did instructional technology with you. So I think that you.
I was, I could see where she was headed for if she maintained that momentum. It's somebody who, if you said do a presentation, she'll go make up one song, she'll have one dub, something out of the memory no one else is going to come with. And that is what the system needs. So that is why I keep pressing that you cannot leave the system. You have to stay in the system.
Miss, why you said that on camera?
No, I'm just saying, if by any chance it crosses our mind, you know, because the students are going to need a teacher like you, who, because we're dealing with the millennials and the Gen Z, I can't overemphasize that we're not dealing with little children, baby born now at 1 year old. They are plugged into technology more than me. When me are 16, 15, 17, we never know not much about phone and YouTube and these things or whatever. No decision at age 2 can show you how. My 5-year-old can show me what to do in a Zoom session if I don't want them to hear me talking. She can tell me to take off audio totally or whatever. You understand me? So they come built in with the knowledge, and you have to use that they come to you with to teach them.
You have to go, and you have to go where the students are to take them where they should be.
Exactly.
And that is something that I think is really missing. But then again, the system needs teachers like us, but the system don't appreciate teachers like us. Yeah. And the system is hard to thrive in. The system is really hard to thrive in, and the system is really hard for you to balance. You understand what I say? So in this day and age, a teacher like me, not teacher, because I really don't try to introduce myself as teacher, but a teacher, somebody like me who I know I can thrive in other areas as well. If the system continue to pressure me don't know how long I will stay. When I see other creative avenues that I can explore.
You know, for me, this is my philosophy.
I want to start painting, you know that?
Well, we can start painting.
What are we going to paint? Tell me, anything that you want to paint, I'm going to paint.
A flower. I love to draw a flower. The connected ones. Because it gives me a sense of connectedness, that everything will work itself.
Anybody has seen this show know that Elvy sort of can't paint. But okay, let's go.
let's see what we can do. But you know, for me, I always I tell you that I grew up poor.
Right.
So I grew up poor. So my parents always put it in the back of our heads that, listen, we grow up and my mother will go to the market or go wash people a day's work or something, and she said, you can't come up and do the same thing like
that. So she wanted better.
So she pushed for us. They couldn't help us with our assignments, to read to so. But you see, my father, anything to be made, give it to him, and Dada can make it for you. So they push you and they spend the money. They deny themselves to send us. So that is why I always see education as an escape from poverty, because that's what it has done for me. And I push it to the other
That was my first question, like what inspired you to become a teacher?
So let me tell you this lovely story, and the book soon dropped too, don't worry yourself. I went to basic school when I was, you know, it's hard to talk about education and color at the same time because I'm so passionate, you know. But anyways, you know, I went to basic school when I was 2. Yeah?
You go early, man.
Very early. And
early.
Can I tell you, well, I'm not going to ask because I'm not going to know my age, but from then till now, up here, school may I go. But, right, so I went to school at that time, and my basic school teacher at the time was the late Mrs. Ines Wright. And she was just that teacher who went above and beyond for her students. She would have us seated in the desk and chair, and she pair a child who can do the work with a child who may not be able to understand. And she always said to us, whatever you don't know, you need to tell the other person. Don't do the work for them, but help them.
Right.
And my mother could tell you everything that happened at Mrs. Ines Wright's school, because we go talk about it. And we lived in a board house then. So I used charcoal and write on the butcher my father have, and write up in the room, and I have dolly, and I beat the dolly them, and everything that Mrs. Ines said at school, I come home and I said. So I started to get that influence from that early age. And then now, when I went to all-age school, I had teachers who were looking out for me. So I have like Miss, we used to call her Mrs. and then we realized that she never married. Miss Angela White. Grades, all the teachers used to look out for us. Mrs. Nesbeth, Mrs. White, all the teachers who taught me would be looking
so
out
in
for
essence, in essence, all their teachers impacted your decision.
Yeah, the way how I saw them do it to help me, I saw it best to move into that avenue. So at all age school, they pushed me into everything and they believed in me even more than I believed in myself, because I was limited because of poverty. So sometimes the school trip, them I go, me can't go. Me need to go a spelling bee, me can't go. Me need to go read it, me can't go. But these were the teachers who would be pushing me to say, no, Boswell, you have to go, you have to present in school, you have to do this, that. And so they gave me leadership role, and then church did something great for me too, because at church we were now exposed to leadership from an early stage.
Listen,
so I have all of that.
That church is, I think, every child should be taken to church.
Every one of them.
And then if later they want to choose not to go, then that's fine. But my personal belief is every child should be taken to church. Church is a training ground.
Yes, it is.
Church gave me my first microphone.
Yeah.
Church.
Yeah.
Right? Church.
Yeah, church was a
church is where I learned to plan and
me.
organize.
Yeah.
Church is where
I had different roles at church to play from a young age, and you know that just really helped me a lot. And then when I went to high school, no, I was influenced by Dr. Joyce Irvin. She's now Dr. Joyce Irvin. She was my home economics teacher. That was the only book that I wrapped. I could relate to the book.
No.
Yeah, I wrapped
you
that
are
book.
Now teaching home economics.
Yeah.
And your teacher is as well.
Yeah.
My teachers that were my most impactful teachers were science teachers.
Oh, okay.
So if you need not to prove that teachers
they do help.
If you need to prove anything that teachers have impact, this
they
is
do
true. Because her high school teacher that she admired was a home ec teacher.
Home ec teacher, yeah.
Hold on.
As I was saying, you know, along the way, these were teachers who would have looked out for me, and I knew that they had my interests at heart.
Right.
So I went to high school now, and Dr. Joyce Irvin, she was Mrs. Joyce Irvin at the time. She was always well put together, always looking good. Color shoes, color bag, and she made her own clothes.
Wow.
And so she had that influence on me, and I was able to like the subject and want to do it because I saw my mother sewing and baking and all of those stuff, so I could relate to it. So I liked it, and I liked how she used to give us some nice assignments and stuff. That was the only book I wrapped at high school. Yeah. And then my form teacher, Mrs. Hilda Hibbert, always well dressed, and guess what? She taught my mother at elementary school.
I know you are always well dressed.
And so now, you know, I'm always well dressed. You know, educators are always say this. There's something about a well dressed. If you want people to listen to you and believe you, you have to dress the part.
Right.
So I'm always dressing the part. Sometimes I'm dressing myself.
Because if you don't
dress up. No,
even if you take yourself serious, or other people will take you serious.
If you don't take yourself serious, no one will take you serious, and the students know too. So when they see me come dress up, and I love to tell them my story.
Right.
So when I come to school, like when I meet, because I teach mostly upper school students, when I get them at grade 10, I told them my story. We used to walk barefoot to school, XYZ, and I always tell myself that I always have imaginary friends. So I told my friends then that I was going to be one top tier teacher at the highest level, so that means I'm going to be principal.
Who you tell your imaginary friends?
Yes. Pele and Sandra were my imaginary friends. I told them I was going to get married to a rich man. Husband not rich yet, still, but right? And
getting there.
Getting there in Jesus' name. And I would have children. I would drive a nice car. I would have degrees. I would have a nice home. Those were the things that I told my imaginary friends, and I see them manifesting in my life today. So because of those teachers then and the influence that they have, that is why now I take on this whole role and this whole thing and I do the same. What I want, I remember when I was at high school and my subject teacher that I chose now never so hot. So sometimes she always asked me to do the class. And me teach a class, how would I want to teach a class? Right? And then I saw in it what I wouldn't want. And so I said, I am going to be a home ec teacher. In grade 10, 11, I decided that, yeah, I'm going to take on the home ec teacher thing. I would be a teacher, but I never showed them that, yeah, I'm going to take on that. And I'm going to be to my students that which my teacher wasn't to me. And so that is what.
But even though these persons influenced you, you have your own philosophy. So what's your philosophy? What's your personal philosophy towards education, towards teaching actually?
Look here, I am very eclectic. So I come with a mixture of everything. But one thing that stood out for me is Nelson Mandela's quote, where he says, education is the most powerful tool that you can use to change a nation. It is through education that the peasant's son can become the next prime minister of the country. And I see education as the vehicle that will take you out of poverty. So I see education as the roadmap to get you where you want to go. And so for me as a teacher, I say to myself, every child can learn. Every child is going to learn in my classroom. I will have to meet the child at that need. And so for me, I am big on cooperative and mastery learning. Those are my theoretical underpinning that I utilize. So I remember when I was at NCU, have you ever remember doing a test by yourself in my class?
No.
Hardly. It was always
group test.
Group test, yeah. And they thought it was easy, but it wasn't. Because you have to come to the table with your knowledge to help your group.
Yes, it wasn't easy, but it took away this anxiety that you would have by yourself. Because you have 3 other heads rallying off.
And it taught you how to work together as a team.
If you were to forget a point, you say, and then it would drag somebody else and then they will remember. So but I don't think how many schools are utilizing group tests.
Alright, but you know, at my school I do group tests. I remember when I just came there and a teacher saw me doing group tests. She was like, what are you doing? We don't do that here. I said, really? I said, you can do anything that you want to do with the students. So I take the students outside the natural realm that they do. I give my students study guide for exam. I'm not spoon feeding them, but if you want them to be successful, you have to guide them. Why are you going to give? The child? You have 20 or 30 pages of notes, and you're gonna send the child. So that happened to me, and I see how I could have been better off if you just told me that, all right, we're just gonna do
matter and
matter or whatever. You're sending me to go read the whole entire book and you just take up 5 questions out of it.
I wouldn't say I give study guides, but I give like topics. The topics. So these are the topics that are coming at the exam. So you know, say the ones then before this and about focus on them. Focus on these ones for this
exam.
That's
what I do.
So it saves them time and it makes them more efficient.
More productive. So they don't spend their whole night trying to learn the book and swat and kill themselves, and then that information don't stick with them any at all.
For me, my philosophy is like I believe in holistic development, and I prioritize relationships, connection with the students over you are big on the strategies part and the teacher aid part. Strategies are important, you know, but for me I go for connection immediately. Immediately I go for connection. I know the students' siblings, I know their individual hobbies, I know who live with mommy, who live with sister. I know, and I become part of their family. Enough people not gonna do that. So till I have siblings who are coming in of students that I taught before that want me to be their teacher. So I believe in the connection, and with this connection then I pair it with motivation. So those are the things that the relationship and the connection and the motivation for me is priority. And as I talk about relationship, do you think overall that the relationship with the students should be if not priority, a factor to be considered?
Listen, I always say it, Miss Salt, and I always say to educators, you cannot
right
you cannot teach the students if they don't believe that you like them,
exactly,
or that you have any form of connection
right
to them. And so that is important. So you see, all of that little underpinning stuff, I deal with it. But for me, I try, because of the context that I operate in, most of my students are from low socioeconomic background, and when you check it out, their parents are young people, right? And so the level of motivation that they need, they may not have it. So I aim to show them how you can use education to get ahead. But then there are the connections that come. I have students who graduated, and up to today's day, they still call me, they still text me. I talk to them every week because I understood them. But guess what? They knew that when they come into my class for content, it's content. But outside of that, I run my jokes with them. I know, and listen, educators, we can't be far off from them. So even though I am a Christian, me hear the little music, them all around, and me hear the little slang, them. I mean, drop it on them.
I have,
I have like, when was it? When Friday, I had a quiz. And a quiz to do with my students. I love to give them quiz. I think as you finish a topic and give them the quiz, it helps them. And this boy in the class, he never comes to school, so he never seen nothing. I'm saying, you really got dead in the show? And then I say, yeah, top boss, you got dead in the show, you're not even going to try. And he was laughing because for him, you know, and when he talk about chop, I said, chop what? You know, chop nothing more than your book. You understand? So they know that I am that. And they know that if they have a problem at school, you can find Mrs. Lewis and tell her, and I'm going to devise a plan. So I heard the students complain about lunch, and they were going on. And when I sat down and talked to them and I showed them what was happening, they said, oh, but I just need to explain that.
Let us talk about that. That's not being done, because I do that with my students. I said, listen, what you are seeing is surface level. There's something behind what's happening, and they must say, oh, Mr. Never, you know, they're not, because as people, it's natural to only see at your level. Sorry, only to see at your level, and somebody have to show them, say, listen, this can be happening, but something is happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. Something is causing that to
Missy, you
happen.
You have a wide range of experience and qualifications, but I have to ask you, what has been your highlight? What has been the highlight of your teaching career? What say, okay, this is the most memorable. I'm not letting it go. This is, you know, what?
What has been? Tell me, in terms of what? In terms of they're so wide.
Yeah, some
is it qualification? Is it
the all right, they can list achievements, and they can list award.
So for me, the biggest thing that has ever happened for me in my career is my my master's degree.
Right.
I did that in curriculum and instruction. The first course I did was called Pedagogical Foundations. It opened up my eyes to a lot of things that when we were growing up in school, they told us it's a no-no. So like the philosophy of eating in class, you deny the child from eating, but then a hungry brain, or not a hungry brain, a hungry child, the brain cannot fuse to work properly. Right? So that is one for me. And noise, I used to hear that, okay, even while I was teaching as a teacher, I hear that when the class noisy means they don't have any classroom control. I learned in PETS class that that's a lie. The most interesting class is the class that have a lot of noise going on, because it means that the students are learning and they're putting it out there. But when you see a class that is silent, one of two things are happening. Apart from the natural test,
they're afraid.
But it means that they're afraid of the teacher. They don't want to talk. They don't know how to relate to. But when you pass a class with the students laughing and talking, that is authentic learning taking place. So that is for me the thing that opened my eyes to help me to see outside the box of education.
Miss, I didn't do shivers. Like me said on the show already, singing our stuff don't give me shivers. These are the things that give me shivers. Miss, I didn't know that I've never done that course coming out of the masters, so I didn't know that.
There, girl.
I didn't know that there was that pedagogy thing. But the amount of time you have to apologize to teachers next door for my class, miss.
Because they're noisy.
Yeah, noisy body. If when I sing something, I'm tell you what I did one day. I was just giving notes, writing on the board, and I did nothing on miss. And I say, alright, this is too much for them to really sit and write at one time. What am I gonna do? You know what I did? I carry my speakers our class, miss. I'm say, as long as you are writing, the music will be played. But if you stop right and the music will be stopped. So then they miss and they write. And the song then dropping off. And when they get excited and I sing along, we just pause. I'm say, I said you should be writing.
Right.
and then say, yes, miss, and we start play back the song again. Miss, I didn't know that, but I came in to teach it. I didn't start out with the idea of being a teacher. I wanted to be a nurse.
Oh.
When I went to NCU, they told me that nursing was full.
Okay.
I never want to wait. So I say, what's the next best thing? I'm say, alright, I love to talk. I want to have an impact. So let me just go into teaching. When I made that decision, I said that I'm not going to be a regular teacher. I'm going to teach high school, and I'm going to teach them like what they teach at primary and early childhood, because at primary and early childhood it's so lively, colorful. Miss, I don't wear dull colors. You've seen what I wear to work. Yellow, bright colors. So when the children see me, they should have this. Yes, so I made the decision that when I go into the classroom, I'm going to be different. But the thing is, some people didn't want to be teachers, so they are just here and blowing in the wind.
That some of them use it as an economic boost.
Right.
So they want to make sure that they have sure money at the end of the month, so they jump into teaching. And I say to educators, when I was at NC and I used to lecture the students, I said, listen, don't get into teaching because of the money, because we are never going to be paid correctly, not in this country at least. And so I said, don't get into teaching because of the money.
Right.
Get into it because you love it. And listen, it's when you love what you do, it's not work. It's your hobby.
Do what you love and you'll never work a day.
And you'll never work a day in your life. I said, listen, I always dress up and go to school. And people say, I said, listen, you have to present your best self to your students.
Right, because
you have to show them who you are. So I remember last week I went to school. My students never saw me in the morning because I came in for their class. And I was only walking down the stairs when I hear one of them say, that's Mrs. Lewis heels. And I would say, you sure? He said, yeah man, I miss alone walk like that in a heels or have those type of, because for me it's just something that I just love it. I tell that Mrs. Irvin, Dr. Irvin now just inspired me. I mean, I'm always in my heels, always well dressed, and I present my best self. I present myself as an organized person, and when I get the students, I organize their brain.
For me though, it's the same power, but the same power with clothes, but I take a cultural twist to it, right? So I want to bring appreciation for the Afrocentric.
Yeah, you always wear print.
If you notice, I always wear print, and especially when it's Black History. When it is Black History Month, February, I wear print every day. So I always wear it. So it's infused in my wardrobe throughout the year. But then when February comes, it's one a day,
extra
every day. Because and then now when they decided to have Culture Day, the students, quite a few students were coming to me to say, Miss, where can I get? Yes. So for me, that was mission accomplished, because you learn about hidden curriculum, you know.
Yeah.
And
it's very important.
I learned about hidden curriculum, but I chose to tweak it. So alright, I'm going to use the hidden curriculum to send this message. So Mr. say, I'm using them. Message. I didn't wear jewelry, because I know Adventists never wear jewelry. My ears just pierced like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. I decided, if my ear is gonna be pierced, it's gonna be pierced with a message. So me wear, if you pay attention, me wear Afrocentric earring, crochet earring, all of that. And if me decide to make a wear like the maths or the other earring with science and so message, because the students really do pay attention, and you are teaching them how to live, because you are they see you and say, oh, I want to be just like Miss. So alright, Miss. So I have to ask. This is important. What do you find most frustrating about being a teacher? You love it, you know. So I don't know where you're gonna find frustrating.
Well, frustrating. It's not on my part. What I find most frustrating and disgusting for me is that it's true.
Me never know if you're gonna go ahead.
I don't like disorganized business.
Right.
So for me, administrators need to be organized, and they need to understand that teachers have a voice, and like the Ron Clark book, that you have to understand that you're gonna have persons who come into the school system that may be a little bit more advanced than you are, or take on a greater risk, or think outside
or have a skill
box,
that you don't have.
The skill that you don't have. Don't sideline these individuals. Have a dialogue with them. Don't shut down their idea. Talk with them. See how you can fuse and blend. I'm big on sharing knowledge. And so if I see something happening in my school and I know that it can be fixed or this can work, I am going to open my mouth and I'm going to say it. But I've heard so many horror stories of a lot of teachers. I saw the other day where a teacher left Jamaica and she got an award, and she was saying she left the system because she felt that she wasn't valued. Her opinions weren't valued. And it pains my heart because she went to America. America, you know, black girl, go America. And I do so well. The people them are gloat over what she's doing. Science teacher.
We shouldn't make that teacher
I saw another one who went on, and within I think around 2 years, she's a professor. And this person would have been stifled in Jamaica in the system, because guess what happened? You have administrators who are afraid of young, empowered, brilliant teachers who have ideas, and they shut you down. So when the position comes up for senior teacher, and this whole idea of you have to serve a number of years before you can be senior teacher in some schools, rubbish, foolishness, because you have senior teachers in some schools who not even know how to write a proper sentence, not even know how to guide their young teachers, not even know how to set an exam, not even know how to dress up themselves to come to school. And you have a young teacher there who has a degree, a diploma, or even a bachelor's, a master's, have several qualifications, and you shut down the person, and you do everything to frustrate the person and drive them out of the system, and you are in the system and you're not doing anything. Administrators, I'm calling them as a trained principal and NSL, big up yourself, because that's another part in my career. When I went to NSL and I did the principal training, some things that Dr. Ingleton and her team opened my eyes.
She's not very brand, but I follow her on
she's
Facebook.
very knowledgeable. I respect her. If she tell me, say, a bird can come to school, come stand on the chair and desk and do the work, me I go believe Dr. Ingleton, because she comes across with that exuberance, that power, and she don't hide information.
Right, she's a sharer.
She's a sharer.
I've never
of
worked
knowledge.
with her, but I follow her on social media.
Okay, I follow her on social media, and I was at NSL for a year or something, and I see how she work with the persons in the office. She give leverage and dialogue.
Right.
You know, that transformational and collaborative leader. That's what she is.
The thing is, the thing that you mentioned, and we want to go back to with Ron Clark. Mr. Clark, me talk about him a lot, but you have to just you see in school now?
Yeah.
With the drug on up in the ceiling?
Yeah.
Jason, please, you know how I could go? You know go? So listen, alright, back to the point. Mr. Clark, this is what he does. He scouts right across US for the best teachers. Him handpick them. You know, feel threatened. He handpicked the teachers at Ron Clark and elementary school are doctors. doctors.
Hear them,
Dr.
Val
Jones. The maths teacher is a doctor. Listen, and listen, you know what else he does? In a left culture. You know, the school is predominantly black, right?
Yes.
The man hire black teachers purposely.
Because
so he went across. He goes across goes across the country, U.S., and handpicked the best black educators. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
A man that understands that for an organization to run, you need a team of runners.
Yeah.
You need people with strength and have the vision of the organization.
Yes, who will carry the button.
Imagine you are filling boat and somebody emptied.
That is it. That's what happens in many schools. You are there working and filling up the boat, and every time you fill that, then you can't get you can't move off because somebody is there boring a hole at the bottom of it.
So Miss, you mentioned that you taught at, no, not mentioned, because we talked about you teach me, right, at NCU, but now you're at high school. What inspired that shift? From, it was just time.
Very interesting.
It was just time.
This feel like the Ian boy, no, me didn't want to do. When we want Ian boy to interview me, but anyway.
He's gone now, so now it's Elvy's time.
Right. So for me, I remember when I just got to NCU, right? Yes, alright, it's an accomplishment. I have a master's degree, so the natural thing is for me to step up to there. I got a call to go to a school in Kingston to interview for a home ec position. I knew the vice principal there, so I called and said, "What's up with this school? Whatever." I got a call. Should I come? You know, little inside links. If I should come, if they have somebody already. Networking. Very good networking. And he said to me, there is somebody here for the position because the person was working temporary for someone or whatever. But the principal was impressed by your resume and just wanted to have a talk with you. And I said, all right, I'm not going to go. And I didn't go. But while at NCU, I was teaching the home ec students, and I realized that there was a gap. How I learned certain things in high school, they came to me without knowing certain principles. When you're baking, why you sweep the floor, and this is university, those things you should have
known in your
and so I felt that a part of me was missing. I felt I was very young at the time when I went to NCU, very young. So to become a lecturer at that age, it's a big accomplishment. And I said to myself, I can give back to the high school system that made me who I am today, and I still have time to bounce back and go back to lecturing after.
Right.
And so I said, I'm going to make this because I know I can impact these high school students more than I can impact the adult, because they already been already tree bent up already, and there's not much that I can do to unbend the tree. But if me go down there, so me can graph up the tree and we can wrap something on there and push up here and catch up it, then it can work.
Right.
So I was making the move. Person said to me, you're committing a career suicide.
Right.
You have a master's degree, you're lecturing, you have the potential. I started my PhD, and you have the potential to go up to professorship and up. Why go back there? And I said, my dream always was to be a principal. And then I had an aunt who was a principal, so my dream was to be, and I said I need to fulfill that role before.
But it's not a way.
I can feel accomplished.
It's not a. You have to understand people, because they don't share your vision.
Right.
So if you understand that, they're gonna say that. They're gonna understand
that is it.
But if you have a vision for yourself, your soul now gonna satisfy until
then. And then too, another thing that was happening to me, I was saying to myself, what's the use that I just reach up to the top to be a lecturer and
then
stop?
what?
How am I going to understand the education system that I will now have to relate to? I have to go back to the high school and get some more stuff and cement myself, because that's where my first training was and all of that. So I went back there because I saw the need to do something at the high school level, to do more at the high school level. So I went back there, to influence those students, and so far I have been influencing them.
You feel fulfilled.
I feel accomplished. By my second year, I felt like, whoa, there's so much. I remember I had a student, Deandra Green, and she knows this. When I went to the school, she was in grade 10. The young lady has not been to school in around a week or two. She got suspended. She did something, got into a fight and it was really bad. But when she came back, we were doing a test. And that young lady passed the test. And those who were sitting in the class for the time that she was absent never passed the test. And I realized that something was different about her. And I started to target her, talk to her, ask her a question, whatever. And I realized that something was going on with her personally. And today, that young lady is at UTech. She's in her 2nd year. And she will tell anybody that it's because of Mrs. Lewis, who got me on the path. There's another young lady, Shadell Clark. She now has Shadell's virtual kitchen on Instagram. When I went there, she was a troubled student. Never lived with her mommy and daddy at the time. She was living with her grandma. And she was giving little trouble. At grade 9, you're trying to find yourself or whatever. And she's a beautiful girl. And I sat her and I said, Shadell, you have so much in you that you can excel at anything that, and I took that girl under my wings. And she graduated from school, got my subject and a few other subjects, and she went on. So she wanted to be a chef, and I always nurtured that. I had competition in my class where she's in charge, like
the organizer. Oh, she had the judge.
No, she's not the judge. The team, man, they put them into teams. So I am the judge, but they set the team and they plan when they go and cook or whatever, and you have principal and teacher and students.
Pictures on video, all of this.
Of course.
Make sure.
You have them come in and buy from the students, and they make money. But guess what? They make the money now. What I go to the lab at school, so
because they
buy
need the lab,
and then get them little money. Sense. Yeah, them get them little money, and then go again. So I have.
So you're teaching that's 2 subjects, entrepreneurship and.
Look here, I take the students to JCDC. And when I make wine, I make jam, I make pickle. Some things I make jackfruit biscuit, jackfruit wine, jackfruit drinks, and bottle them up nice and decent. And I have students today who make those stuff in their community and sell it. So for me, moving from lecturing down to high school was to fulfill a role that was missing, that I think I could give to young people and they could benefit from it. And today I would want to move away from it, but I know I still have some more to go. So I'm still gonna be giving some more, but I'm gonna eventually, but
So I only have a few questions there, but I want to ask you. This wasn't an original question, but I just think about it. What do you suggest or recommend to teachers to prevent teacher burnout? Because probably that's a topic that you can look on your channel, and her channel is Strategic Education Services. They can go over there and subscribe. So I think that's a topic that you could explore over there on your. How do I? Because if I am burnt out, I can't be effective. So how would you suggest to me, Elvy Soltau, as a junior teacher, or other junior teachers that are watching, how do we prevent teacher burnout?
I'm going to say this. Maybe some colleagues will disapprove, but you know what causes teacher burnout? Selfishness.
How?
So you are teaching science and you don't understand atomic
homeostasis
or homeostasis. You have so much professional pride that is killing you, that you cannot go to the teacher who is at another school or in the same school,
no collaboration,
that understands the topic well. You're afraid to let the teacher know that you don't know, so you don't ask for help.
I've never looked at it like that. So you
stress yourself out trying to figure out, how do I get the students to learn this topic, when all you need to do is just talk to a teacher, collaborate, network. So for me,
a wisdom, that's enough, because I wasn't thinking about that.
That is what causes burnout, because you are struggling to figure out, how do I manage online learning with everything that is going on. Instead of you just call one colleague and say, you teach homework, you have any activity or any tests on whatever. Right now in Google Classroom, I have teachers from other schools that I add into my classroom, because they call me, they reach out to me and say, Mrs. Louis, you have anything on? I say, all right, let me put you in my Google Classroom. So everything that I upload there, all the quiz, everything, you have access to that you can use. So it's selfishness causes burnout.
And it's another flip. It's who to go to. Because guess what? As a young teacher coming in, not me, but as a young teacher coming in, the other teachers are so you don't know who to say, Karla, me really don't understand this, help me. So you don't know who to go to. So you would want to go, but you don't know who to go to.
So this is where
me not busy the face could have tough on out for me. I go to you.
Me I go to you. I'm coming to.
Right.
You cannot make because of a person's face.
Right.
You suffer and the students at your hand suffer. So yes, I know it because I've experienced it myself. I remember when I went to a particular high school to teach, and the HOD was in my back. I couldn't do a thing right for that lady. And they're like, all I need to do is just show me. You know what I used to do? Travel back. I used to live in that parish. So I travel back from there. So come all the way to Manchester to my teacher at NCU to show me. Me don't understand that topic, whatever. And every weekend, Mrs. Brown will know say me I go call her, I go come check her for some help, right? So here it is. You still go on your ask. And if you don't know, you're going to say, because nothing is wrong with you saying that you don't have that or you don't know, because no, but I never know everything in a home. And
yes, still, you only say you still don't know everything. Right.
I network with people.
Right.
So one of the things that will help you is to be consistent. Just keep going to them and asking. Or we have everything at our fingertips
on the
internet. Spend your time on the internet and learn. Don't never tell them when they come and say, Miss Holt, go on YouTube, go see how to do this, how to do that. So you can learn it for yourself and you grasp it and you practice it at home before you go to the students. I remember when I just started out teaching, I would practice my lesson plan. I'm on TP. Me teaching at my house first before me go on TP. When I go to TP, I don't use lesson plan. I know my lesson plan in the back of my hand because I already. And listen, when I'm writing my lesson plan, me sit down, me think about every child in the class. How would I react to this year? How would I want my teacher to come in this day and age, come teach me something like this, and me pen something lesson plan like that. So me go there, me know say something that I'm going to love and I'm going to feed into and I'm going to get into it. So you keep asking. And you have friends at other school. So ask them, you know, the teacher will teach me. Ask them if they have anything or science. Ask them if they have anything. That is what I do. So right now, when I do a lesson plan for my school, it's shared with us 6-7 teachers in different parishes in Jamaica. And I'm not afraid to give them because what's going to profit me?
Right.
Right?
It your benefit.
I benefit
because you're going to jump in a one loop and now you have 5-7 teachers where you can call.
Sometimes when I go someplace, people say, oh, you know the person? We know the person because they go one meeting one time and we see the person and we just meet them and we just keep contact with them and we send them and we ask.
I spoke about that on Sing Summer with the captain about 2 weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago when this is filming. 2 months ago we talk about networking. Networking is important and it is so simple to network. I don't know links. When people talk about it's not links, it's networking. I help you
to maintain relationships with individuals. So that's what I do. So no, there's no topic in homework that you can't ask me and I can't help you on. I can give you a test, I can give you a quiz, I can give you, because over the years me call my friend and me say, alright, when I just started out teaching cake, I call my friend Miss Gallimore at BB Cook, she's the VP, because I said, Miss Gallimore, you know me love you to death. And I call her, Mr. Gallimore, may I teach cake? We just introduce whatever. Help me out with some lesson plans. How do you teach whatever? And she sent me a test, she sent me a lesson plan, and look at thing we can come Miss Gallimore. And she's there as a mentor to mentor me.
Teachers need teachers.
So teachers need teachers.
Collaboration
is key, and you don't have to collaborate at your school. You outside of your school, you can call one school and just get some information. If you have a friend, you say, check your teacher for me now and say the note, and that is all that you need. Simple.
So we've talked a lot. And her, if you want more of her content, kind of content, if you're a teacher that wants to be better, you can go to Strategic Educational Services on YouTube. She over there every Sunday.
Yeah, and every Thursday.
Every Sunday, every Thursday over there helping teachers, right? But we know, Miss, that you are qualified and experienced. But what I want to know now, what are your other interests other than education? You know no more? Just this?
Let me tell you something. My only interest apart from education is to make it into heaven. Listen, education is something that I'm passionate about.
I can tell.
Right now, I'm thinking about having my own school, having everything that
I can be a me employ myself in your school. I can be tell what I want to be. Like, I don't want to be a teacher, but this is what I want to be. I want to work in your PR and communications department. So like I would be responsible for communicating with parents, teachers, to because that is important. And I think I have this interpersonal skill that can be.
Yeah, you do.
So may I employ dean of communications or dean of relations or
VP of communications.
Something miss. We have to get me employ myself. Miss, I'm serious.
No, I'm serious about
because you're gonna need that. You're gonna need that while you're gonna need somebody. You're going to need somebody on your team that is on the same mission as you. And
that
for
is
me,
important.
I think that connecting with parent and student is Denby High School believe in a homeschool partnership. And it's true, your child must be interested in there. Both of us should be on the same team for the child. So you don't want somebody like that. And then mother manage social media, mother manage that.
Yeah, true. I'm going to start to put it together. But that's what I love.
Do you know that Ron Clark has meeting for social media? Staff meeting for social media presence? Missing teachers them well active on social media. 2 months ago, the dean, I don't remember, Juna Beardin, you know how they announced them pregnancy? On TikTok. Miss, if you was see video, you love it. And the teachers are on social media. Mr. Thompson, the science teacher, the pioneer teach science. On TikTok, I follow him. I start them. I follow all of them because it's so impressive when somebody can dedicate so much of their life for education. And when we look at them, I feel mediocre. True, I'm looking at me say, oh my God, I think me do things out there. When they revealed the building last week with the dragon in the ceiling, all my boyfriend when a business board is, I said, look. I said, look how this is. Look. And you know, another thing that I love, one of their philosophy that I love, two philosophy, but we really love, he said, he doesn't know which one of his children are going to be prime minister, so president, so I'm train all of them. So he gives all his children quality education. And another thing, he takes them around the world. And I think traveling is important to some. Mr. Clark have the ideal thing. And if me go a foreign, I go work with.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know, I employ myself in a school.
No problem. So now is the time to reveal.
Oh yeah, you can reveal your beautiful picture. Man, I don't know what is this.
Wow, this is my picture.
Any message behind the picture?
Just being playful and enjoying yourself amidst everything. So you look at the floor, you notice that it has down here the grass, brown and green mixed up, but amongst that it is still striving and still, putting out there so tall. Plus, and then it's providing shade to these people, redhead children, and the blue sky and all of that going on. I should have drawn some
as usual. I don't know what is this.
Really? So every week you come in?
No, such a shame on me. Every week, no improvement. How many seasons and no improvement? Shame on me. But who gives you quality all day, all the time? Mrs. Karla Boswell-Lewis. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. You can find her on YouTube. Strategic.
You can follow my LinkedIn
page.
You
can follow our LinkedIn page. For me, you can follow me right here. Well, with on TikTok, Instagram. Anyway, there's a social media. I'm there. If you're wondering what is this that I'm wearing my jersey from Authentic Kits. You can get your jersey there. You can get it personalized. You're not see it right now, but it's in the back. So thank you for watching another episode of Paint and Spill. See you next week.
Bye. My butterflies were added after.
Good job, miss. Good job. I like your video. You know somebody.